How would you have it work?
We need a system where the politicians sit down and discuss the problem. Agree what's in the best interest of all the people, and then do it.
That's exactly what we do. The trouble is that people don't always agree.
Well, then they should be made to.
By whom? Who's gonna make them?
I don't know. Someone.
You?
Of course not me.
But someone.
Someone wise.
We never had such a thing. Sometimes I try to compare it. I'm sorry for my divagation, but that is, I was a scholar as well, you know. That's a very risky question to put to me. Because I was teaching these issues in the university for some time. And sometimes I like to compare the European Union as a creation to the organization of empires. The empires. And because we have the dimension of empires. But there is a great difference. The empires were usually made through force, with a center that was imposing a diktat, a will on the others. And now we have what some authors call the first non-imperial empire. We have, by dimension, 27 countries that freely decided to work together to pool their sovereignties, if you want to use that concept of sovereignty, and work together to add value. I believe it's a great construction, and we should be proud of it. At least we in the Commission are proud.
Today, the President announced an interpretation of Rule 19, which puts this House in plain violation of its own regulations. We have now departed from the rule of law and given arbitrary power to the Chair to tear up our rule book and proceed as he sees fit. This is plainly illegal under our own rules. This Chamber may be sovereign, but it must nonetheless follow its own rules. This interpretation by the Constitutional Affairs Committee is going to be contested today. It may come before this House in a vote. If we vote in favour collectively, we are voting to abandon the rules under which we proceed. The grandfather of British resistance to totalitarianism, Edmund Burke. They must be worse than blind who cannot see with what undeviating regularity of system, in this case and in all cases, they pursue their scheme for the destruction of every independent power. Their will is the law, not only at home, but as to the concerns of every nation. They have swept aside the very constitutions under which legislatures acted.
La prego di concludere.
My regard for you, Mr. Chairman, and my personal affection for you that prevents me from likening it to the Ermächtigungsgesetz of 1933, which was also voted through by a parliamentary majority, and I ask this House not to vote it.
Will you come
not to vote on this measure until we have a chance now.
You don't say that.
That comment is totally unacceptable. We are going to take internal group measures, and I would ask for Mr. Hannan to be excluded from our group.
possible, please. Take second.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
I rise on Rule 170, paragraph 4, to make the point that this proposal that we're being asked to vote on gives the President of this Parliament such arbitrary and dictatorial powers that no one that believes in democracy would ever even consider it. But to be asked for us to vote on it when the political groups in this Parliament have not even had time to discuss it, surely cannot be right, and so I ask that this vote is adjourned to the next session in Strasbourg so that people actually get a chance to understand the huge implications of this vote if it's passed. Have the front to call this a debate because the Minister didn't tell us any of the substance of the negotiations. But of course there is no debate, is there? No debate in the national parliaments, no informed opinion in the press, no debate at all. And why? Because this whole treaty is being put together in secret. And that is being done because you don't want to involve the citizens of Europe. You're fearful that the more they find out about your grandiose plans, the more likely they are to vote no. And what's worse still is the downright dishonesty with which this whole process is being pursued. For Angela Merkel, in a letter, to talk about the proposal, to use different terminology without changing the legal substance, I mean, it's Alice through the looking glass stuff, isn't it? It's the twisting of language. It is the deliberate attempt to stop there being free and fair referendums in European countries. It's your plan to act like a bulldozer, just to sweep aside the French referendum result, the Dutch referendum result, to pursue your political goals without taking the people with you. Well, I've no doubt you think that you're going to get away with it. But if you're proud of your European project, if you're true Democrats, then you join me in the call for let the people decide their own future. Don't foist it.
I know they don't trust you. Or the Senate. Or the Republic. Or democracy, for that matter.
Taxation as a concept hasn't really changed very much, has it, in the last 3,000 years? The rich and the powerful stealing money from ordinary people to make their own lives more comfortable. Where there has been a change in modern times is that taxation is for the benefit of the taxed, that somehow we are being taxed pro bono. In order to perpetrate this myth, we invent periodic scares to frighten people into submission, reminiscent of the medieval religions, isn't it, which played the same game. Pay up or burn in hell. Tax harmonisation is a concept dreamed up by the modern political class to make sure that no government steals too little from its people. A sort of thieves' cartel, if you will. May I suggest that if you really want tax harmonisation, that the Commission and the bureaucracy pay the same taxes as the electorate. They bear the same burden as tax as the rest of us before the electorate storm this building and hang us from the rafters as they've every right to do.
I love democracy. I love the Republic. The power you give me, I will lay down when this crisis has abated.